Hi, this is Paul Bibbs. Today we're going to talk about how the rapture will be explained after the church is caught up to meet Jesus. So, like many Christians, I believe that the rapture of the church will happen prior to the second coming. And I have a teaching on the timing of the rapture on my channel if you're interested. But today I want to talk about what God showed me about how the disappearance of the church will be explained once we're gone. So there will probably be a number of explanations and or opinions from different people all over the world. But you know for sure that the subject of the rapture will come up because the rapture is well known enough, even for many in the unsaved community, for people not to talk about it. Now, as I have researched this, I couldn't find very many theories or explanations for it, and I'm sure there's some out there I just haven't heard. But in my research, I really only came across two theories. Now, one is that some Christians believe that the world will think that our disappearance is related to some New Age religious nonsense about ascending. And the other one, the most common theory that I've heard some Christians talk about, even over the years, is that the world will think that we've been abducted by aliens, which always gives me a good laugh, but that will probably come up. But when I first started studying end time prophecy years ago, God gave me insight into this. And when he showed it to me, it just made perfect sense. And it's all based on Satan's desire to be worshiped. So let's just start by looking at a few scriptures. Let's start in Revelation chapter 13 and look at verse 11, where John says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon." Now, this beast is a reference to the false prophet. Verse 12, he says that he exercises all the power of the first beast, which is a reference to the Antichrist, before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So Satan in the last days will possess the man that we refer to as the Antichrist and seek to be worshiped through him. Now, let's go over to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And evidently, some of the Thessalonians were thinking that they may have missed Jesus coming back. So Paul addresses that. Look at verse 3 in that chapter, where he says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." And of course, these are references to the Antichrist. But look at verse 4. He says, "He opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." Now, I agree with a lot of other prophecy teachers that the temple that Paul mentions here will be the rebuilt Jewish temple. So the Antichrist will go into the temple and claim to be God and human flesh. Now, I believe that before he makes this claim, he will have already made himself known on the world scene in some capacity, either as a leader of a nation, a politician, or maybe even some kind of humanitarian. And that Christians who are discerning enough will already be accusing him of being the Antichrist. Now, I'm aware that many Christians and prophecy teachers don't believe that the Antichrist can really show up on the world scene until the church has already been raptured. But I disagree with that, because God also showed me that the rapture will occur just prior to this event of the Antichrist claiming to be God. So in conjunction with that claim, God showed me that the Antichrist will simply take false credit for the disappearance of the church. Now, of course, he will claim that the people who disappeared did not get taken in a rapture to heaven, but that they were taken in judgment by him because they were coming against him. And he is, as he claims, to be God. Now, The false prophet will be a world-recognized religious leader that will endorse the Antichrist to help convince those in the world community who are blind to spiritual truth that he really is God. And many will be deceived by his explanation that he caused the disappearance of the Christians and took them in judgment. Now, in Revelation chapter 13, verses 15 through 17, John tells us that the false prophet will be the one who institutes the mark of the beast. And I think he will threaten the entire world with judgment worse than just being taken like the Christians were for those who do not worship the Antichrist. And of course, that judgment will be the restrictions associated with the mark, the inability to buy and sell, as well as the death penalty. So, please make sure you are one of the blameless Christians that will be taken in the rapture and do not get left behind. Now, I go over blamelessness in another teaching on my channel, and I've posted the link to that video below if you're interested. So, if you haven't accepted Jesus as your Savior, or even if you have, but don't have a memory of confessing that acceptance out loud with your mouth, then I urge you to do so as soon as possible. Have your moment with Jesus. God bless you.